Close of play then of the fourth day of this fifth and final test match between England and India finds England on 259 for 3. It's remarkable, really. They were set 378 to win, and they are now 119 runs away from recording their highest fourth innings run chase in test history. 259 for 3. Root is on 76, not out. Jonny Bairstow 73. They've added 150 together. That after Crawley and Lees, the openers put on 107 in just 22 overs. Crawley the first to go, playing no stroke, was bowled by Bumrah for 46. Pope was out to the first ball after tea for a duck. That was 107 for 2. 6 balls later, Lees was run out for 56. So 3 wickets fell for 2 runs in a very short space of time, and England seemed to be set back then. But this partnership of 150 has completely put this on its head. That earlier on, with India were bowled out for 245. They added only 120 runs today, losing those 7 wickets. They were disappointed about that. They lost the last 6 for 55. Pujara out for 66. Pant for 57, Shreyas Iyer for 19, Jadeja 23, Thakur 4, Shami 13, Bumrah 7. Ben Stokes picked up 4 for 33. Some rather casual shots in there. If I'm honest, maybe the Indian attitude being that they had enough runs in the bank, but they really wanted more than that, and to bat England out of the game, and that has not been the case. So lots and lots to talk about. I've got Mark Ramprakash and Deep Das Gupta alongside me again. Well, Mark, let's start with you. I mean, 378 to win.
Yeah.
You just feel in the course of that, yeah, you need to get a good start. You know, you're going to get a clatter of wickets, and actually they did. There was a clatter of wickets. There was 3 wickets fell for 2 runs, and yet they're still with more than a shout of this. They're favourites to win it.
Yeah, I think that the England mindset is one that 370, they would have certainly thought, yeah, we can have a go at that. I think there's certain things that have come together, certain elements, and one is the England mindset. 2 is the pitch. Yesterday, there was plenty of uneven bounce. Pujara got hit, Jonny Bairstow got hit.
Kohli got a ball that
Kohli got an unplayable,
sharply, yeah.
Absolutely unplayable delivery. So we were thinking, okay, on a wearing pitch, batting last, never easy. In actual fact, this pitch has stayed true. It's got drier and flatter. I know the county matches here this season have been very high scoring affairs, and people haven't been able to force a win. And so it's sort of proving here in that batting last is not necessarily fraught with the danger that it has been traditionally. And I think that, as I say, combined with the England attitude, and then also to some degree, I think India will reflect today on their tactics. They have looked to bowl very straight lines, but as a result, the fields have been split, and it's meant that there have been gaps for England to rotate, to get singles. And as a batter in a high-pressure situation, you want to get off strike. Second or third ball, they've been able to just almost defend the ball either side of the wicket and get a single. And I think that allowed England to, certainly for Root and Bairstow, to put together a really good partnership, to build that partnership in a fairly low-risk way.
Go on then, Deep. What about India? How are they going to be feeling in that dressing room downstairs?
Very disappointed, extremely disappointed, because obviously, I mean, start of day 4, India were way ahead in this test match, and now, as you rightly mentioned, it seems like it's England's game to lose from here.
Yes.
And the whole thing happened, starting from the first hour this morning. Those wickets fell. Some of them were unnecessary shots. And yeah, threw away that advantage, India. And then bowling-wise as well, obviously they were taken aback by the start. Especially, got to give a lot of credit to Alex Lees, the way he started and put Indian bowlers on the back foot. 100 runs, 100-run partnership between Zach Crawley and Alex Lees of 19th or rather 20th over.
5 and over, yeah.
5 and over, and we're talking about Jasprit Bumrah, Mohammad Shami, 2 best, top bowlers in the world.
Yes.
And against them, and what happens is obviously that gives a lot of confidence to the other players as well, because generally, and a lot of us were thinking, you know what, this run chase would boil down to Jonny Bairstow, Joe Root and Ben Stokes. But then when you have Alex Lees and Zach Crawley giving you start like that, and you said, wow. So I think got to give credit to that. And just, I don't know, I might be over-analyzing this, but England did take the heavy roller before the innings, right? Maybe it was, the whole thing was planned, the whole approach was planned as well. Get a heavy roller, realizing now that we've got a heavy roller, first hour or so, the ball might not do much, which it didn't actually. No. And maybe take advantage. And then Alex Lees coming out and batting the way he did, scored his half century, better than run a ball. Maybe this is just part of the whole plan. Maybe I'm being too, analytical about it, but quite possibly they must have thought about it and spoken about it, because there's no reason why you would take a heavy roller on day 4.
I'll be honest, I mean, I arrived today thinking, well, India will bat till tea or thereabouts, and they'll have a lead of 480, 490, and they'll just bat England out of the game completely, and then they've got still plenty of time to bowl England out. They could have 3.5, 4 sessions in which to do that. So that, I imagine, would have been their thought process. They seem to have been sort of sucked into this more cavalier spirit of England's, perhaps.
Yeah, true. I don't know, maybe they were also thinking that the fact that, okay, the ball's kind of older now, it might not do as much. Because again, some of those shots there, Pujara, yes, he plays that cut well, but he looked a little different this morning. He was looking like he wanted to be a little more aggressive with his stroke play. Then that reverse sweep from Rishabh Pant was not really required. Yeah, I mean, India could have easily got to maybe 300 odd. And yeah, I mean, just batted England out of the game. But even though, having said that, the way England batters are batting right now, even 420 seems like chaseable. Or maybe even 450 looks like chaseable.
What about these openers, Mark? Because I mean, they've both had spotlights on them in sort of different ways, really, but Crawley particularly.
Yeah.
He seemed to be, as they used to say, in last chance saloon, really. And it seemed nice for him that it was Lees who really took the initiative to start with. Crawley took his time, got his rhythm back into his game, and then slowly began to play some of those more familiar shots that we've seen.
Yeah, I'm glad we're talking about Zach Crawley and him playing well, because he's been obviously the subject of discussion for quite a long period of time, things not going his way. He did it very, very well today, and I felt like I saw a change there. He's never really had a trigger, he's never really moved around, but he was batting, I think, on around middle stump. He's very, very still at the crease. He defended the straight ones, played them late in defence, so played it late, played it tight. And I felt like when he played straight, his bat would come down on middle and off, and therefore he's protecting his stumps. And then the balls that were outside of off stump, he's left. Now the difference, I think, in the winter, he was standing over on off stump, so his hands and bat, when they came down, they were coming down at sort of a 5th stump in that corridor. And hence we saw a lot of sort of front foot pushes, drives, where you thought, well, you don't need to play at that. And so I think there's been a change. I think there's been a slight modification in that tactics, where to bat, and I think it's really aided his game. He played straight, he played late. I thought he looked really, really good. It was convincing. I mean, you can get 46 as he did, but you can get it in a streaky fashion. I thought he played with authority. I thought he looked set. It was convincing.
Yes, you're the batting coach, but he seemed to be that he's batting with a much more controlled manner with his bat as such, not following through as he has been, not those sort of booming nicks to slip that we've seen. Actually, much more controlled and under the eyes, as it were.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more. I think there was one airy drive, a Siraj delivery outside off stump, but other than that, I thought it was really convincing. I think it was progress. I mean, it's not easy when you've been in the limelight like that. Everyone's talking about your game, they're pulling apart your technique. Of course, you've had some public backing from the captain, which can help, but also if you're really struggling and scrambled, sometimes, I don't know how Zach would feel about that. But the fact is, finally, we've seen him slightly adapt his game, and I thought it looked really convincing against 2 really top-class bowlers. The only thing not just Zach and Alex Lees, the ball did not swing. No, it did not seem, and therefore, when that happens, we've seen Zach Crawley get a brilliant double 100 against Pakistan and also 100 in the Caribbean. So when the wickets are drier and flatter and there isn't a lot of lateral movement, he is a wonderful stroke player. 6'4", plays in the V, very good with the ball above the waist. he looks a top-class act. But I just felt that those slight changes in his technique and his tactics there, I thought it was a really convincing effort, and hopefully will bode well for the future for him.
And I can't be wrong with me, you're not deep on the television highlights, but the first over, when Alex Lees came dancing down the pitch to Mohamed Shami, going, "Whoa, what's going on?" He just stuck him over mid-wicket. The next ball, admittedly, he shouldered arms. The ball went straight over Midland leg stumps.
Yeah.
But he almost sort of took the pressure off Crawley in a way. And as someone who's not in T20 cricket, different matter. But in this form of the game, Alex Lees is a very correct, traditional opening batsman, and the complete transformation there.
Yeah, and I was actually thinking about that when Mark was talking about his technique, and also the fact that when Alex Lees was batting like that, it kind of took the spotlight away from Zach Crawley.
Yes.
Because when Zach Crawley is batting out there, everyone's talking about him.
It bought him some time a bit.
Yeah, and then the focus also, like you said, the focus of the spotlight shifted from him to Alex Lees, and everyone was talking about, oh, wait, what's happening here with him? This is not what we've seen him do before. So I think a lot of things came together, a lot of moving parts came together for England, and unfortunately for India. I mean, they definitely look rattled. Jasprit Bumrah, obviously a lot of inexperience there in terms of leading sides, and obviously it's his first game as captain. At times you just felt like he's allowed the game to drift. Especially there was a good spell when those 3 wickets fell just after the tea interval. Jadeja came in bowling outside leg stump. There was this good spell for like good 10 odd overs when, scoring at 2.53. They didn't pick too many wickets, but then at least the scoring rate was down. But then also got to say, Mohammad Siraj, as good as he is, but he has this tendency of bowling way too many boundary deliveries. Same with Shardul Thakur. So once Jasprit Bumrah, Shami, they finished their quota of overs, Jaddu finished his quota, and then it wasn't the same. And credit to both Johnny Bairstow and Joe Root, they realized, they were aware of that situation, and then once their spell got over, they also started collecting runs more freely. The field was kind of spread, and obviously not many boundaries. I think the highlight of their partnership, with 150-run unbeaten partnership, I thought was how easily they were picking up singles. They were picking up 3-4 singles every over.
Either side.
Yeah. So again, like Mark mentioned, if you're going to bowl straight, you've got to keep fielders on either side of the field, right? So, but I think they took advantage of that. They were very, very aware of what's happening around them, and very smart cricket from both of them.
I think 75% of Joe Root's runs came from fine leg round to mid-wicket. That's a high percentage, isn't it?
Gosh, I mean, it will never. You can confidently say that would never have happened before in Joe Root's career.
Yes.
As good a player as he is, but it was an indication of where India bowled, of the tactic that they were trying to employ, which was to bowl straight, give no width. I think they've got a little confused, because I think that to Bairstow, they've looked to bowl very straight. Because he stands a little bit more leg side. He's not quite as fluent through the leg side as Joe Root, I think, and he's defended a lot more straighter. So they bowled quite straight at Bairstow, but to Joe Root, he does get out edging the ball sometimes, and I think they perhaps could have moved their line for him slightly more to off stump, because we see him a lot play with that open bat face, scoring runs down to third man. But it's just recognising phases of play. And also, I mean, I never forget that comment from Virat Kohli about the World Cup, that England wouldn't score the huge scores in the World Cup because of pressure that they had in bilateral series, because of pressure. Here, the series was on the line. When Root and Bairstow came together, the series was on the line, and they pushed the fielders back too quickly, in my opinion. Johnny was able to get himself in a fairly easy way, in a low-risk way. And, I mean, credit, the guys built the partnership brilliantly, but I just wonder whether India will reflect on that they missed an opportunity early on.
I guess we'll see tomorrow when they come back and see what they do. What do you think of Alex Lees? I mean, we've been talking as well, Mark, haven't we, about Baz Ball and all that sort of thing. I think we've sort of agreed today. Well, actually, if you look at it, it's only really, Root. Well, Root was affected by a bit in the first innings, but so Bairstow, Stokes, they're the obvious ones who are benefiting from this. We've got to put Lees in there, haven't we? I mean, that innings today, he would never. I mean, if you showed him that, put him ahead of some sort of time traveller last year and said, "Well, Alex, this is how you're going to be playing next summer in a Test match." He would just shaken his head, wouldn't he? I mean, that is a completely different batsman.
Completely different. You're absolutely right. Couldn't agree more. He He has changed his whole mindset. Look, I think he was selected because he's an orthodox left-handed batsman. He doesn't move around the crease much, but he does present the full face of the bat. And in his career to date, he'll have played long innings with good concentration, left the ball well. And I think that's the sort of player England were looking for until Baz McCullum and Ben Stokes have taken over. But today, apart from the one where he ran down the wicket to Shami, his shots off the seamers, I thought were just good cricket shots, actually. Back foot, front foot, it was all there. Good, solid shots. I suppose the way he played Jadeja when in his first over, that clearly
first ball
hugely influenced by the coaching staff.
Yes.
I think that was premeditated in terms of they'll have talked about that. How am I going to play him? How am I going to play the left-arm spinner into the footmarks? And they've said, right, these are your options. First ball, he's run at him, because most spinners are looking to bowl a length first ball. He's run at him, smacked it down past him, and then we saw...
It's a great shot, wasn't it?
It was a fantastic shot. And good control all along the ground. And then, of course, we saw the sweep and the reverse sweep out of the rough. I mean, they are tough shots. But I think...
They pulled them all out.
Yeah, but it was such a statement to India to say, look, we're not going to just sit here and let you dictate here. And the whole thing about the left arm spinner was that he should be able to tie down the left-handers because he's got the rough there to bowl at, and he couldn't.
Yes. We hopefully will hear from Alex Lees soon enough. But Andy Zaltzman, I think stats-wise, what have you got lined up from today? Another clutch, I would reckon.
There's been a lot of stats this summer, Aggers, particularly the fourth innings stats. England now heading for a fourth entry into their top 15 largest successful fourth innings run chases, and this one would be at the top. One of the characteristics has been extremely careless third innings by their opponents. New Zealand at Lords in the first test of the summer, 242 ahead at 251 for 4 in their second innings, lost their last 6 for 34. At Trent Bridge, they were 176 for 4, then lost 6 for 108, and that was on a pitch where 1,200 runs had been scored for 24 wickets up to that point. The third test, they lost their last 5 for 42, having been 243 ahead with 5 wickets in hand. And India here, 190 for 4, 322 ahead before Shreyas Iyer planked a short ball to mid-wicket. 4 of those last 6 wickets that went down for 55 went to pulls and hooks. It's almost like India hadn't been watching how England had been playing. And the fourth innings chases in the first 3 games of the season, averaging 67 runs per wicket. So a target of 370, you could argue on those stats, would be 300 runs short. But it has been extraordinary. Root has now passed 500 for the summer. He's passed 650 for the series against India, including the 4 games last year. That's up in the top 10 most runs by an England player in a test series. Johnny Bairstow, 573 runs this summer at an average of 95, and that was after 3 failures to start the summer. Since when he scored 547 off 520 balls and been out 3 times, so averaging over 180, scoring at well over a run a ball. He's hit basically 1 out of every 6.5 balls for 4 or 6 in that run. It's an extraordinary sequence. 5 consecutive scores over 70. I mean, the 11th player ever to do that in the entire history of Test cricket. Alex Lees, you mentioned, 44-ball half-century, the 4th fastest recorded half-century by an England opener. That opening stand reached 100 in under 20 overs. That's the first time England have been 100 for naught in under 20 overs in Test cricket.
And run out twice in consecutive innings.
Yes.
Because in matches, anyway, yes.
That was, he's the first England opener to be run out twice in the season since Atherton in 95. John Jameson in 1971. He was run out in 3 consecutive innings, opening the batting on his Test debut, second innings, and then both innings of his second.
He does like hitting boundaries, though, Jamo. There we go. Well, I felt very sorry for Lees today because, well, on both occasions, Mark, you've got to be honest, I don't think they were his fault. At all, were they?
No, absolutely. I mean, it was well bowled, actually. The delivery was well bowled by Jadeja. It was on a good length. It got Lees looking to push the ball into the vacant extra cover area, inside edge, and Lees didn't know where it went. And to be fair, he was looking around, unsure at what had happened. I'm not sure that he heard Root's call to start with as well, so he was very late setting off. I mean, well done to Shami, actually, where the ball went out onto the leg side and Shami got there quickly. It was a very accurate throw right next to the stumps at the bowler's end, and Jadeja was able to take off the stump. So really, really unfortunate. The only thing I'd say is that when they walked off for tea, Alex Lees got involved with a discussion with Virat Kohli that looked fairly heated.
It did.
And whether that just fired up the Indians after tea, but the noise levels went through the roof with the dismissal of Pope and then the run out of Lees, and the Indians. Well, they looked very pumped at that time.
Yeah. So a couple of minutes then on who's going to win tomorrow and how they're going to do it. Come on then, Deep. We talked about India and lessons that they might have learnt from this, and I mean it has been tough for Bumrah. Let's be honest. With virtually zero captain's experience, we've thrown into this because the captain's got COVID. Now, how are India going to win this match tomorrow? What are they going to do?
It's very simple attack. I guess the mindset or the game plan obviously they had today was kind of negative and very defensive in nature. And that's not what India generally does. India's strength, especially away from home or even at home in Test match cricket, has been their bowling. Right? And you can't possibly let your strength kind of take things away from that strength. And that's what has happened today. I mean, your strength is bowling, but, defensive lines, defensive field. I think from here on, I guess, what they'd be saying is, you know what? Got nothing to lose here. 7 wickets, let's just go give it a try. Doesn't matter whether it finishes in the first hour or it goes on till an hour after lunch. Who cares? Just go out there, be aggressive, be attacking, and try and pick as many wickets and as early as possible.
And tighter fields to try and stop that rotation of strike?
Absolutely. See, the idea is it's been very easy for both Bairstow and Joe Root picking up those runs. Very easy. They've got to make it tough. Yes, if you're getting boundaries, if they're playing those big shots, good luck with it. And if they can successfully pull it off, good luck. But otherwise, let them work hard for it.
Right, Mark. How are England going to pull off their highest ever run chase?
Well, with relative ease, I think. With Root and Bairstow just continue on their merry way. I mean, confidence could never have been higher in England dressing room. It's been absolutely wonderful to watch. I think England will knock off these runs relatively easily. One of them, I think, will be there at the end. Of course, we know we've still got Bairstow and Billings to come in, but I think
if one gets 100,
yes, absolutely,
you think that should be?
You'd see it through. India need early wickets, don't they?